you being kind of said, you've been warned, alright? Let's move forward then.
Okay, well, check this out. First of all, you throwing too many big words at me. Okay, now, because I don't understand them, I'm going to take them as disrespect. Watch your mouth and help me with the same.
Okay, see, now you found yourself a nigga. You looking for a nigga? Nigga here now, see?
My mind is so spectacular. Open up your aperture. You don't like the light that I be shining, bitch, you Dracula. Southern draw vernacular. Flip you like a spatula. Knew that I was built to put this word up on my scapula. I've been on this road so long, my tires bald. I don't wanna text and no, I don't wanna call. Came in this shit running, bitch, I don't know how to crawl. We ain't never folding, I'm holding the highest card. Look, okay, grew up running post routes. Now I'm on the cash route. Better call the plumber, that boy spitting like a bass spout. All these bad women in this club, fuck is you mad about? Word to all my estheticians, boy, I'm about to lash out. Straight from St. John's to the east side. Jigging since a knee high. Watch the way I put on for my state, nigga, yeehaw. Respecting no everything. Crazy how I made it to the league from the bleach eyes. Boy, my shit hair wrong. Black, rich, and bare arms. Smoking on that yogi, this shit stronger than some bare arms. Goku, I'm in rare form. You cannot prepare for him. When I swing, it's like a carnival. This shit ain't fair for him. Brought intellect back to this rap shit. You niggas need chapstick. Shit been dry for way too long, and I'm the matchstick. You niggas Nickelodeon me. I'm more like Cap Nick. Cap a nigga, throw him in front of me. Party favors on the table, you can pick and choose. I would be lying if I said it, I don't get confused. I'm just a player in the game and I don't pick the rules. Why trouble always seem to find the ones with shit to lose. About to blow like we just lit the fuse. We double dutch into this dough, I get this shit in twos. Push the button, get it started, put that shit in cruise. A little dust up on his heart, I barely get to use. A fool flatters himself, a wise man flatters a fool. Man, I just came to get it started like mechanics with tools. Cause in my hood, if you don't pack a tool, you planning to lose. These young boys deserve Oscars, they be acting a fool. A couple loose screws, but they hammer accurate. Ooh, I know some niggas stuck on drugs and manufacture it too. School of hard knocks, we all got our bachelor's, fool. No cap and gowns, but we all had the master. Party favors on the table, you can pick and choose. I would be lying if I said it, I don't get confused. I'm just a player in the game and I don't pick the rules. Why trouble always seem to find the ones with shit to lose. I'm dumb lit, it's about to be a late night. Fresh wax, shawty, show me what it tastes like. Niggas know me in my city like I'm Wayne Wright. Got them looking up to me and we the same height. Ooh, I got it bad, deep in my bag. Foot on the gas, they cannot last. Swimming with the sharks, bitch, that's a great white. Never stopping, we don't even need no brake lights. Say she don't smoke, but she always smoke with me, yeah. Back with Finny, yeah, back up in the ovaries, yeah. All my ops, they stay running like they over easy. Even my masseuse can't just get too close to me, yeah. Shout out to Next. Soon as the ink dry, we count out the checks, yeah. I never flex. I bought up a business, you bought up a section. I'm at the top of my class, yeah. Y'all never learned from your lesson. Skywalker gave me the force, yeah. Turn this into an obsession, yeah. I couldn't wait on the team, cooking shit up with just me and Plague, yeah. Things never are what they seem, but we know the facts, yeah. Charging that shit to the game, but now I pull up with a battery pack, yeah. The bigger they are, the harder they fall, and we can just leave it at that. I'm dumb lit, it's about to be a late night. Fresh wax, shawty, show me what it tastes like. Niggas know me in my city like I'm Wayne Wright. Got them looking up to me and we the same height. Ooh, I got it bad, deep in my bag. Foot on the gas, they cannot last. Swimming with the sharks, bitch, that's a great white. Never stopping, we don't even need no brake lights. Big bro, why they call you big bro? Every time we hit the bank, we deposit zip codes. Well connected with the streets like we out in Skid Row.
What's good, everybody? Welcome to the Pull-Up Show. I'm your host, Mr. BJ Matthews, a.k.a. B Jizzle. Before we get started, follow us on the YouTube page, the Pull-Up Basketball Podcast. Like, share, subscribe. All of YouTube viewers, hit that like button. Y'all come in here to share, subscribe. Hit that Cash App, $Slick Rick 1991 Son. $Slick Rick 1991 Son is our Cash App. Also, if you guys do not have Cash App, it's very, very simple. You guys can go to our super stickers and super comments that are available. All you got to do is hit that $ symbol right below in the chat box in the bottom right-hand corner, and you guys can donate to the Pull Up Basketball Podcast at your own discretion. And like I tell y'all, man, it's very, very important that y'all continue to support the Pull Up Basketball Podcast because we bring to y'all great content. Also, it's a way for you guys to continuously be connected to us, man. So we just want to ask that you guys continuously support the Pull Up Basketball Podcast, man. But let's get it popping. All right, man. So let's get into it, man. NBA Christmas games. I hope, first of all, everybody had a Merry Christmas. Hope everybody had is having a happy holidays with their family. New Year's will be here in a few days as well. I hope everybody's enjoying their time with their loved ones, man. It's very, very important. Remember, the reason of the season is if you guys are a Christian or if you guys are, religious, Jesus is the reason for the season. That's the motto I like to go by. But it's even as important, not more important, but as important. Make sure you guys are spending time with your family and friends and getting a chance to make those memories. All right. So let's get it further ado. Let's get it going. Had to give me a snicket with this water. So last night I got a little bit, home a little bit later. I got my flight delayed, lucky me. But I got some good rest last night, so I'm here, ready for to do this. And then I got the game tonight against Golden State. I gotta be at the arena around 4:00. So we're gonna get into this, man. Let's talk about the Christmas games. It was a jam-packed Christmas special. It was the most watched Christmas games, I think. I don't know how many years, but the games that we saw on Wednesday were the most games that the world watched on television. So there was a good day for the NBA, great day for the NBA community and family. I'm just happy to see, all the games that are coming on. I thought it was very, very, competitive. I thought they were good games. I thought there was, they're trying to win. So we're going to get into it, man. I'm going to talk about each team, kind of like, in detail of where I feel like they're going to go and like how I felt about the game entirely and what I thought went right for the team, went wrong for the team. So we're going to go down the list from the start to beginning. I'm going to, make sure I tell y'all, continuously hit that like button. Y'all come in here, sit back, have a drink, relax, all that good stuff. We're going to get right into it, man. We're going to talk about NBA Christmas games. All right, so let's start with the first one, of course, in the Eastern Conference. We got the San Antonio Spurs and the New York Knicks, which the Spurs lost to the Knicks 114-117, which let me put this on the screen for y'all so y'all can actually see. All right, y'all. So we're going to talk about it, man. The Nuggets or the Spurs and the Knicks was an Eastern Western Conference showdown between Wembanyama, the new, phenom player, who's a second-year player, alongside his point guard, the experienced Chris Paul, and you had a bunch of other role players as well, against the New York Knicks by Karl-Anthony Towns, Mikal Bridges, and and company. So let's get into it, man. So the Knicks moved to 20-10, and the Spurs moved to 15-15. Now, we are 30 games in the season according to both these two teams. They both played 30 games. So I'm going to tell y'all what I think about these two teams so far, and I'm going to tell y'all what I think about the game. So the Spurs, like I said before in the past, I said the Spurs are going to be a play-in team. They're going to be a team that's going to be somewhere between the 8th and 10th spot. They're going to squeeze their way in there. And I see the reason why they're going to do that is because the arrival of Chris Paul, right? Chris Paul had 36 minutes last night or the other night. 13 points, 4 for 8 from the field. He's averaging 9.8 points per game, 8.3 assists per game, shooting 37% from the three and 43% from the field. All right, so those are really good numbers for a player of his caliber. I think he's 38 years old right now. Or is he 38 or 39? One of the two. Well, he's, up there in age. He's just like, LeBron James. He has, age on his side. But if you've been watching Chris Paul, and I've been watching the Spurs quite a bit this season, what he brings to the team is a level of, first of all, order, calmness, and he's really directing how these players should be playing. One thing about Chris Paul that you guys have, to, give a lot of credit to is that every team he goes to, whether it's a young team, or older team, a seasoned team, or, an unseasoned team, Chris Paul is always, looking to find ways to get his team better. Let's look at, his history against the, when he was with the Hornets, his first team, New Orleans. That team went to the, conference semifinals to Game 7 against the San Antonio Spurs. right? That's the farthest they've been really since I can remember. I don't think the Hornets have ever been to the conference finals as long as I can remember, right? They didn't make it all through, after Chris Paul left in the Anthony Davis era. They didn't make it, what I'm saying, under, right now with Zion and Brandon Ingram. They didn't make with Baron Davis when it was the Charlotte Hornets. You know what I'm saying? Like they had never made it that far. Under Chris Paul, they made it to the second round against the San Antonio Spurs, who I think went to the conference finals against the Lakers in 2008 and lost. So that's what he did with that team. Then you go to the Clippers. He went to the Clippers, and they didn't make it to the conference finals, but they sure as hell was favorites many years. And Chris Paul was responsible for the Clippers rising their stock up. They made it to the first seed in the Western Conference, I think their first season, right? The Clippers have never been the first seed in the Western Conference outside of what Chris Paul was there with Blake Griffin and DeAndre Jordan, right? So that's another team he helped elevate. Then you go from the Clippers, and he said, okay, I'm going to go over to the Houston Rockets and help James Harden, right? James Harden, they made it to the conference finals in Game 7 against the Golden State Warriors, where Chris Paul missed those last two games in 2018 with hamstring issues, right? So had Chris Paul been playing, they would have possibly made it to the NBA Finals that year, and they would have won a championship, right? Chris Paul basically, elevated that team, gave them the most wins under the James Harden era I think that they have ever had. First seed against the whole Western Conference, right? And then you go from Houston. So I'm gonna go to OKC. First year in OKC in the bubble in 2019, 2020, he has them as the 5th seed in the Western Conference. A bunch of young guys like Dennis Schroeder, SGA, young SGA. You had Lou Dort on that team as well. You had a lot of guys who were either role players or they were unproven. You had no stars on that team at that time. And Chris Paul as the 5th seed. He leaves that team. They in the lottery for about 2-3 seasons. So another team. You go to from, I know I'm going through team to team, y'all, but he's been in a lot of situations. Phoenix, right? 2nd seed right off the back in 2021. 2nd seed off the back. 2022, 1st seed in Phoenix. Next year was the 4th seed. He was a top 4 seed every single year with Chris Paul and Devin Booker. They made it to the NBA Finals his first year there. He helped elevate that team. The Suns haven't made it back there since. The Suns, they made it to the finals outside of that till Chris Paul got there. Not even in the Steve Nash era. They didn't make it there, in the Devin Booker era before Chris Paul got there. And they made it with Charles Barkley back in 1992 or 1993. So that team, and now I don't really even count Golden State because Golden State, he really was coming off the bench. He goes to San Antonio and say, I'm going to help Wembanyama as well learn how to play the game. Now, that's what Chris Paul does. So you got a bunch of, young guys like Devin Vassell. You got Jeremy Sohan. You got, Julian Champagne, Keldon Johnson, Stephon Castle, a bunch of young guys on that team who are still learning how to play. And they're somehow, at 500. And the games they've been really losing to have been games against, pretty much come down to the wire. That's my thing with the Spurs. They're having a hard time closing games out. Right? But, they're still learning. And I think, Chris Paul is the, reason for that. Now you go to the New York Knicks. Let me just give the Knicks their respect, man. The New York Knicks have, first off, been outstanding in terms of how they've been playing. I think they've really been buying into each other. I think they've been really clicking. I think they're a top 3 seed in the Eastern Conference right now. So a lot of people have the Knicks as a team that's going to be, a force to reckon with. I came into the season saying I wasn't really too high on the Knicks. I'm still not looking at the Knicks as a team that's going to make it to the conference finals. Like, I'll tell you all the teams I think I will make it. But as far as right now, the Knicks are playing great basketball. Karl-Anthony Towns is playing like an MVP, right? He's playing like an MVP caliber player right now. Y'all remember the trade I talked about, him and Julius Randle. I thought, Karl-Anthony Towns and Julius Randle was, I didn't know who won the trade. Going by right now, if y'all can see, the Knicks have won the trade because of what Karl-Anthony Towns has brought to the team, which is another outside scoring threat. And like he's a rejuvenated player. I mean, he's averaging 24 points per game, 13 rebounds, 3.5 assists at 53% from the field. So he's leading the league in rebounds. He's averaging 24 points per game, and his field goal percentage is 53% from the field. So it looks like Cat is really turning the clock, or he's either he's playing at a level that a lot of people still kind of were a little bit questionable about. So big ups to Cat for how he's been playing, man, because it's been definitely nothing sort of spectacular. As y'all come here, hit that like button as y'all come in here. So Karl-Anthony Towns been playing like an MVP candidate. So, of course, you got the New York Knicks, who, they brought OG Anunoby back. They brought Josh Hart back. Of course, Jaylen Brown's their franchise player. They got Miles McBride coming off the bench, Precious Achiuwa, players like that. And, they got guys like Mikal Bridges, who had 41 points. I'm going to talk about that. And OG Anunoby, who are their, two-way players. Now, as far as this game goes specifically, the Spurs, like I said, they had the game throughout the, most of throughout the game. Wembanyama had 42 points. They were, basically, able to control a lot and be in part of the game for the majority of the time. So I thought the Spurs had a lot to really, go with. They had guys like Jeremy Sohan at 21 points, hitting threes. He went perfect from the three-point line. Julian Champagne hit three-pointers down the stretch of the game as well. You even had Chris Paul hitting three-pointers. So they were sticking in the game for the most part, and they were able to, basically make it tough on New York in New York. So that shows you the Spurs have a lot of, talent, and they're starting to get a lot of, camaraderie. So I'm very excited to see what the Spurs are going to be like in the next, 2 to 3 seasons when Wembanyama gets another, year under his belt. So that happened. And then also with Karl-Anthony Towns getting in foul trouble early, if I thought personally it gave, the Spurs an opportunity to win the game, but the Knicks, they chose to, go through grit and hustle. There was a play towards the end, like in the fourth quarter, at the bottom of the fourth quarter, where they had, like, I think, 3 offensive rebounds towards the end. It was the last few minutes of the game, actually the few seconds of the game, where the Spurs needed to get the ball back with theirs because they were down. Josh Hart got an offensive rebound, who was their hustle guy. So they're priding their stuff still on, hustle and grit with some of their, role players. But I want to give a shout out to Mikal Bridges. I want to give a shout out to Victor Wembanyama, who both went Glock for Glock. Mikal Bridges, 17 for 25 from the field, 6 for 9 from the three, 41 points as well. He's currently averaging 18 points per game off 50% shooting. Now, Mikal Bridges was picked up from the Brooklyn Nets over the offseason. Mikal Bridges is a two-way player. I said he's a good two-way player. He's not an elite, but he's definitely a player that you guys can, pretty much count on as a player that's going to, kind of fit in. He stepped up offensively because they needed the scoring because they had Karl-Anthony Towns on the bench. Jalen Brunson wasn't really, carrying him. He was kind of inefficient from the field, 7 for 23. Jalen Brunson's kind of been a little bit quiet this year too. I'm not so sure if it's because of Karl-Anthony Towns' presence there, but it's, he's not playing like the level he was last year. Maybe that will change in the postseason, but right now he's not playing at the level he was. So you had, Mikal Bridges had to step up. OG Anunoby was 3 for 10 from the field. So the Knicks have a good thing going right now, and I think the only thing they got to do is continuously, they got a lot of people that can score the ball. They pretty much trade their defense in for offense. Do I think it was a good idea? We'll have to see. But I do think they have enough defense to at least make them a competitive team in the Eastern Conference, right? One of the top 3 seeds. The Spurs, I think they just got to keep, leaning on Chris Paul and, making themselves competitive, because I think the ceiling for them is going to be the play-in. That should be their ceiling in the play-in. Last year, they were at the bottom of the Western Conference. I think they need to go up and, be somewhere in the play-in situation. And I think they can certainly do that. So that's the goal with the Spurs and the Knicks. I'm going to go into the next game. As y'all come here, smash that like button. We're going to the next game right here. We're going to talk about the T-Wolves and the Dallas Mavericks. All right, another good game. The T-Wolves and the Mavericks went down to the wire. So the T-Wolves were able to prevail 105-99 in Dallas. All right, we're going to talk about a lot of stuff because there's some things that, we need to kind of touch on. So these are two teams, obviously, that face off in the conference finals. And that's what Christmas is really about, trying to find matchups that, the fans will be a lot, interested in watching because of, most likely the previous season. So these are two teams that faced off in the conference finals last year. So there is something there where they can probably, get a rivalry a little bit going. So the T-Wolves were able to prevail. They moved to 15-14. The Mavericks lose, going to go down 19-11 in their season right now. So let me talk about both teams first. The T-Wolves are attached to the New York Knicks, like I said before. They are a team that I was not sure who won the trade between them and the New York Knicks, but right now it looks like the Knicks have won the trade. They have won 4 more games than the T-Wolves, which is quite a bit of a stretch. Karl Anthony Towns is playing like an MVP caliber player, and it looks like they have a lot of chemistry on that New York team. They're building a lot of chemistry. So I like what they're doing, though. They're in New York. I think they're basically winning the trade right now. I think Minnesota right now have been going through, locker room issues and scheming issues, things of that nature. You got Anthony Edwards come out, a couple of times talking about how he's basically calling the team out for being, mentally soft and saying that you have to follow the coaching staff. They can't talk to each other, and a lot of internal issues in that locker room, which makes me a little bit, questionable Anthony Edwards' leadership as well. So I'm going to talk about that probably a little bit later on in a different video. But the T-Wolves have chemistry issues at this point. That's why they're at 15-14. Last year, they were a 3rd seed in the Western Conference, and they were clicking, right? I thought the loss of not just Karl Anthony Towns, but Kyle Anderson was a big loss as well, because Kyle Anderson was the glue to that team. Now Kyle Anderson, he's over there in Golden State just sitting there. So I don't know why they let Kyle Anderson leave. I thought that was the glue person for the team. I thought he was a perfect fit. I mean, he's another player too. He's been to, Memphis and then Minnesota, 2 teams that seem to play better with him there because he's the guy that, bridges the gap. He's 6'9", very high IQ player. Very, very solid scorer. Even though he's slow as a snail, he's able to, he understands how to play basketball. He understands how to set the right screen. He understands how to make the right pass, take the correct shot. And you need players like that. A team like Minnesota, who needs as much high IQ players as they can, is missing a player like Kyle Anderson. So you lost Cat and you lost Kyle Anderson on that team. So Minnesota's going through, a lot of internal issues. So will they get together? I think they will, but it's going to have to start with Anthony Edwards. It's going to have to, have to start with the coaching as well. They're going to have to find a way to get these guys all involved. So then you go to the Dallas Mavericks. The Mavericks are 19-11. They start off the season very slow. Well, now they're actually a top 3 seed in the Western Conference right now. Top 3, top 4. And they just recently had a setback with Luka Doncic, going to be out for pretty much at least a month after having a calf strain, which is going to be very interesting to see how the Mavericks respond, because I've been watching them without Luka Doncic for quite some time. So, him being out for a month, says Doncic will be reevaluated in a month after sustaining a left cane strap calf strain on Christmas Day against the Timberwolves. Shams Charania of ESPN reports. So he had a play where I think he, was a non-contact injury, and he's asked out for the game. So with those calves, you got to be very, very careful, because those can turn into something even more serious. So they're going to take their time with Luka Doncic and keep him out as much as possible. So that's going to put, again, more opportunity for guys like Kyrie Irving, Daniel Gafford, PJ Washington, Quentin Grimes. You got Klay Thompson. You got Najee Marshall. Those players got to step up in the absence of Luka Doncic. So that's why I see that the Mavericks. But the Mavericks have been playing some good basketball as of late. So let's talk about the game in general. Now, the T-Wolves and the Mavs, what I saw against them in Christmas, first off, was, again, the T-Wolves getting off to a hot start. They were playing well. They were making threes. They were hitting shots. They shot 14 for 32 from the three-point line, 43%, and 46% from the field. So Minnesota has had this tendency over the last, really, not just the other day, but 2-3 seasons, that they'll start off a game really, really hot, and then they'll allow a team to get right back into the game. So it didn't really surprise me what happened with Minnesota. Minnesota's, that's their biggest issue. They have great stretches in the beginning of the game, and then they start to turn down a little bit as the game weighs on. Like where they just kind of, have, a little bit of IQ problem. So I think that's going to be their biggest Achilles heel. They have to find a way to keep balance, which the only way they can really do that is by able to play not just good offense, but also everybody's got to lock in on defense. I mean, you got Rudy Gobert, who is arguably they rate him as a defensive player of the year after year, but yet and still his defensive only really comes around the basket, right? But you have a solid defensive player. You got Jaden McDaniels, who's a solid on-ball defender as well. You got Anthony Edwards, who's a solid on-ball defender. Mike Conley, at his position, quiet as kept, is still a very, very good defender on ball at point guard, right? Quick hands, quick feet, very crafty. Mike Conley's a very, very good defender as well. You got Julius Randle, who's not a great defender, but he is serviceable. He has athleticism, he has size, he has quickness. My thing with Julius Randle is more about him with his positioning, how he defends players. So most of my point is Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Donte DiVincenzo are both hustle players as well. So my point is basically the Timberwolves have good enough defenders where they can keep the game in balance, and they have basically the defense to kind of make them competitive. It's their offense to me that needs more, scheming. Anthony Edwards even pointed that out. Their offense is not. They don't have a set offense. It's either him scoring or Julius Randle scoring. The other night it was 26 points for Anthony Edwards, 23 points for Julius Randle. They had Rudy Gobert was their best defender, had 14 points. That cannot happen. Guys like Jaden McDaniels, guys like Mike Conley, right? Those guys have to step up. Naz Reid, of course, coming off the bench, shooting 3 for 6 from the field, needs more shots. Donte DiVincenzo, I thought, had a very, very good game. He's starting to get his confidence back with the Timberwolves. But you can't have – I would rather have Rudy Gobert not have 14 points. I would rather have him somewhere around 8 or 10 with about 12 to 15 rebounds and like probably 3 to 4 blocks a game. So other guys can, do their jobs. But that's what the thing with T-Wolves. They basically let the Mavericks back into the game, especially in that third quarter. The person that was leading them to come back was, of course, Mr. Kyrie Irving, Uncle Drew, with 39 points. Now, this is going to be an interesting stretch for the Mavericks this upcoming month. I'm gonna be really watching how they play without Luka Doncic. Now, people need to start giving Kyrie Irving his credit because really, if you think about it, ever since last season, he's been really carrying the Mavericks when stretches where Luka Doncic has been out for injury or this, that, and the other. And it's funny that Kyrie Irving now, you don't really hear no negative talk about him missing games and him not wanting to play. And it just takes me back to his days in Brooklyn where, he was missing, stretches of games and, it was because he thought about his religious beliefs and people demonized him for basically saying he doesn't want to play. Well, if you look at him now, he's in an environment where it's actually stable. It's, people are getting along, things of that nature. And Kyrie seems very, very happy. You don't hear no negative about, his teammates, or you really never heard no negatives about his teammates talking bad about him. It was more so the media. But Kyrie, once again, is showing his leadership. He almost brought that game back against the Minnesota Timberwolves the other day. And it's going to be exciting to watch what he does with this team. He's averaging 24 points per game, 4.6 rebounds, 5.1 assists, and 49% from the field. So he's doing pretty much what he's doing as a leader for this team. So as far as the other day, though, the game could have went either other way. I thought the Mavericks put themselves in a great position to win. What I think they need to, definitely improve on. They have enough scorers on this team. They're a top 5 offense-rated team in the NBA. So they can score the basketball. It's more so about their defense. I think this stretch is going to depend a lot on not only how Kyrie Irving leads these players, which I think a lot of them, will follow him, but how guys like Klay Thompson, how guys like Quentin Grimes and, coming off the bench, how guys like Spencer Dinwiddie coming off the bench as well, like, Najee Marshall, the guys who have not been with their team, was not with their team last year, it's going to be important how they come in and actually play with confidence. When you play at home, of course, a lot of the role players are going to play better, But now with with Luka being out, it's going to give them an opportunity to kind of even shine even more, which I think the Mavericks will still be able to hold suit with Kyrie Irving leading them. But this is probably the most exciting game that I watched, was the Mavericks and the Timberwolves. Right, so that's what I gotta say about that game. As y'all come in here, make sure y'all smash that like button. We're talking about every single game for the Christmas day. Let's go to the Sixers and the Celtics. This game right here was definitely entertaining. It was between two teams that has a lot of, prediction that can be seen each other in the playoffs. Now, I'm going to give my full analysis on these two teams as well and what they've been doing. Of course, you got the Sixers who are 11-17. There's, the 11th seed in the Eastern Conference right now. The Boston Celtics are 22-8. They're, the second seed in the Eastern Conference. The Sixers and the Celtics obviously have a little bit of a historic rivalry. Both Eastern Conference teams, both two teams that are, looking to, make themselves going to, having a deep playoff run and possibly the NBA Finals. So this is was a very, very, game that was marked on the calendar. That's why it was a Christmas Day game. So let's get into it, man. The Sixers, man, of course, we know the Sixers start off the series, the year very, very slow. More because of injuries and guys just getting on the team together, playing with each other that hasn't played with each other before. And the Sixers, this was a team that I said are going to get to the conference finals and then possibly the NBA finals, because I saw the Sixers as a team. First off, you have a three-headed monster in Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid, and Paul George, right? You have a three-headed monster with those three guys. And then when you look at their roster down the line, they got guys who are athletes. They got some, great length, defense, scorers as well. And as I watched a lot of Philadelphia this year, there's some guys that can really, be themselves proven in the playoffs. Guys like Caleb Martin, who went off against the Boston Celtics, the team that he usually does well up against ever since the Miami Heat days. Guys like Gershon Yabusele, I think he's going to make a big difference in the playoffs as well. Kelly Oubre, a good two-way player, is going to, be prevalent in the playoffs. So they have a lot of good rotational guys. Andre Drummond did not play the other night. I think he's going to be a good fit. He has experience as well as a backup center. Not so sure how he is going to be in the playoffs, but he is an experienced player. So that, and they're missing their other point guard, Jared McCain, who was their, spark off the bench. We'll see what happens with him with his torn meniscus. But the Sixers have enough to make themselves a formidable opposition to be able to make this to the NBA Finals in the Eastern Conference. So they're starting to get their tone together. They've won, I think, 7 of the last 10 games. As I said before, they're going to be in the playoffs, not the play-in. And once they make it into the playoffs, it's going to be about who they match up against, which I think against the Boston Celtics, as y'all can see, they match up pretty well. So the Sixers, like I said, doesn't really surprise me. They beat the Celtics the other night. They are a playoff team that had, a short start because of, injuries. But let me go into the, Boston Celtics side. Of course, they're the NBA champions. They're the defending champions. They're a dynasty in the making. They're a team that you really don't have to really worry about being consistent. They've shown they're going to be consistent in the regular season and make it into the playoffs, at least past the second round every single year. So with teams like this, they're established, they're set. Now, how do they look like they look this year? I still think they have a fire to them. And I think because of what happened in the Olympics with Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, they're looking to, put themselves in a position to, win a championship. And Jason Tatum, a player, again, he had 32 points the other night. He's averaging 29 points per game, 9 rebounds, 5.6 from the field, and 46% from the field, 5.6 assists. Jason Tatum is an MVP candidate, and I'm not so sure why people just push this to the side. Maybe because the Celtics are so good as a team, they think that Jason Tatum isn't doing what he's doing. But when you look at his raw numbers and you look at his impact on the team and how they've been winning games and how he's available for, majority of the season, I don't see how this guy cannot be in the MVP candidate race. They just say that, oh, he has help, he has this. I mean, look at what he's putting up. He's the help. He's the leader. He's leading this team. And I go back to the whole saying where, what you are what your best player is. You are what your coach is. If your coach or your best player is, dominant, your team is going to be dominant. If your coach and best player is, nonchalant, it means your team's going to be nonchalant. If your coach and best player is fiery, that means your team is going to be fiery. Well, the Celtics, I look at them as being consistent. And that's why I look at Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum is a consistent player. Each year in and year out, go check his numbers. Go check out, since he came into the league, what he did his first year going to the conference finals against a prime LeBron James, right? And then since then, they've been making it to the second round every single year, third round, conference finals appearance 5 times, 2 NBA finals appearances in 7 years. People get tired of that. They get tired of consistency. And that's what Jason Tatum has been, prevalent to. A consistent player, making it to the playoffs every single year, putting up high numbers, being a 3-time All-First NBA first-team player. They like, damn, like this guy, I mean, we already know what's going to happen. But this guy literally should be top 3 in the MVP candidate because his team is winning and he's putting up the numbers. But I wanted to put that out there. Now, let me go to the game. What happened? First off, I want to talk about Joel Embiid with his dumb ass. So, like I said, the Sixers have been struggling because this man right here on the screen. I'm not blaming him for getting, taking care of his health and getting, being injured. I'm not blaming him for that. But I do blame Joel Embiid for being too much of a clown. Now, this genius decided to before the game on Christmas, a big televised game, to play around, and he decides to shoot a 3-point off-balance shot going out of bounds where he knows security is still right there, right by the sidelines, protecting people from coming in and getting close to the floor. This genius decided to shoot an off-balance, one-legged 3, and he embarrasses himself by tripping and falling and rolling his ankle. And they showed the replay, and people were kind of like gasping for air. Is he going to miss the game? And I said, "Oh my gosh, this guy is a complete idiot." So Joel Embiid, again, this starts, ends, and begins with him. The reason why the Sixers were going so bad throughout the beginning of the season, people were mocking him, making fun of him, saying they need to tank, is because this man on the screen. That's the only reason they were they were basically, looking the way they were looking. So I want to show y'all right now what it looks like with Joel Embiid, what he just did. Just simply irresponsible. Y'all see him on the court. He shoots that 3-point shot, and you got the security guard literally in front of him. You can clearly see, I don't know if he can or not. He trips and falls. Only him would do something like that. Would trip and fall going backwards, and he rolls his ankle. He could have been out for the game. And then you look at, he could have basically, spoiled the, hopes of the Sixers to win. But he soldiered it out, and he ended up playing that game. So I got to give props to Joel Embiid. But God damn it, man, you got to be smarter. Joel Embiid had 27 points, 8 for 15 from the field, 7 for 7 from the line, 4 for 5 from the 3-point line, and 9 rebounds. Joel Embiid had a very, very good game against the Celtics. Very, very good game. Now, the only thing I would tell him he needs to start doing, and I was seeing it was kind of embarrassing to watch, he got to start playing with more brute force. I mean, the Celtics have literally nobody inside for him, and yet he wants to shoot all those threes and shoot them, them long-range shots. Go to the basket and play more on the block. He is so gifted. He has so many different things he can do. He wants to just settle on being a 6'5" wing player instead of being a 7'2" big man inside. That's going to keep him more healthy, and that's going to keep him more dominant. It's going to make him put more fear in the defense. You got Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown just rolling inside the paint and just bullying their way inside. I'm like, how are 2 dudes who are less than 225 pounds able to get into the lane against a 300-pound monster with no resistance? As y'all come there, make sure y'all smash that like button. I'm talking about the Christmas Day games. Just basically just pushing them in there and just going to the basket. Joel Embiid should not be getting pushed around by the basket. And that can be a little bit of an issue going down the line if teams are not scared to go into that paint. So that was that situation. The second one I'm going to talk about is Paul George. He had 12 points, 4 for 15 from the field, 0 for 7 from 3, 4 rebounds, and 3 steals and a turnover. So Paul George obviously had one of his down games, which he shouldn't have had. Paul George is averaging 15.9 points per game, 4.9 assists, 40% from the field, 5.7 rebounds. So Paul George has been having a very up and down year. As of late, he has been playing very, very well outside of the Cleveland game and in this game. He started off the season, off on minutes restrictions and not being able to play full minutes. And he started off the season not, himself. So, of course, that put him in a bad spot where now you're looking at, he's not playing full games. He's not playing full minutes. He's having to get back his rhythm. He's having to play with a new team. So the stats that y'all looking at right now are stats that really that all that stuff entailed. As far as the other night, I'm watching PG settle for too many long-range three-point shots. And that's really all that was. Look, when you deal with a person like, Paul George, who has the length at 6'9" and the size, he can score in any way that you put him in. But what his problem tends to be is to get too jump shot happy. I'm not mad at the 3-point shots. If you're wide open and you got good lane, you got good range, and you're a great shooter like PG, I mean, those are good shots to take. I don't expect him to go no 0 for 7 again. But them long range twos, when you have your back to the basket, when you have a advantage against the defense, I would prefer him getting to the rim closer and getting his, confidence up, because to see the ball go in, and he can, get either a foul or get like an easy 2. But the reason why you saw a bad percentage like that is because it's just a game of numbers. Like, if you're shooting these contested long-range 3-point shots, they're not going to go in all the time. I've seen games where he shot 60% from the field. I've seen games where he shot 40% from the field in a game. I've seen games where he shot 25%. He just needs to be able to shoot more higher efficiency shots. But for the most part, he's been playing very, well for the past 10 to 15 games. He's been shooting the ball well. He's been probably their best facilitator. He's been a guy who's been great on the defensive end as well. Him and Maxey leads him in steals, and he's been good on the glass. So I think that, again, he's going to be able to find his niche playing with Embiid and Maxey. But I like, what I saw with him playmaking. I like what he saw on defense. He just needs to be able to score the ball when he needs to score. So you got that going. But the big thing that happened was Tyrese Maxey's 33 points. When he was scoring his baskets as well, the Sixers went on a huge run in that fourth quarter, which Embiid and PG were on the bench, and it was Tyrese Maxey and Caleb Martin, kind of leading them, along with Yabusele and Kyle Lowry, surprisingly, and I believe Kelly Oubre. So that goes to my point again. The Sixers have a lot of weapons on that team, and now that they're starting to get chemistry and camaraderie, and everybody's kind of being positive about each other, that's going to help them down the line, right? Caleb Martin was a player that they picked up in the offseason where I thought was going to be a big pickup. But he started off the season very, very slow, not hitting outside 3-point shots. He's been dealing with injuries, but it looks like he's very healthy right now. He's like his shots. He's confident with his shot. They're going to need him in the postseason, especially against a team like Boston, because Boston is a team with multiple wings, with multiple, offensive threats. They can shoot the 3-point shot. They can score, and they're a championship DNA team. Now, Boston did not have Jrue Holiday. I need to see them play with Jrue Holiday on the court. I need to see them play with Andre Drummond on the court as well. So that's what I need to see both teams be able to play with, because Jrue Holiday will be probably the player that they put on Tyrese Maxey. However, I think Tyrese Maxey at this point he's so locked in. I think even Jrue Holiday is going to have his hands full with him as well, because Tyrese Maxey plays with a lot of up and down speed, which Jrue Holiday, I don't think he's really used to that up and down speed like Tyrese Maxey is able to put on him. But Jrue Holiday's an elite defender still to this day. So I can't wait for them to play again in February. That should be a high intense game. As far as the Celtics go, it's one loss. They've been losing to some teams that they at their home court. So again, it's just one loss. So I gotta, say that was a very, very exciting game towards the end. Tyrese Maxey for, leading the Sixers to victory. Let's go to the next game, the Lakers and the Warriors. All right, so this game right here, of course, was a high intense playoff caliber, not a playoff caliber, I said playoff, high intense game because of the history. Steph Curry versus LeBron James. What else can I say? This is probably the most expensive ticket of the 5 games, of course, just because of the star power and because of the notoriety and the names and things of that nature. Was the game, how exciting was the game? It was exciting towards the end, but I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm kind of tired of seeing LeBron versus Steph every single time. I'm kind of tired of seeing that there's other teams in the league, like OKC. I would have rather seen. I would have saw a team like them, or another good team that's actually showing themselves out to be, very, very, deserving. But this game with the Lakers and Warriors, the Lakers are 17-13 right now. The Warriors are 15-14. So at the Lakers right now, they're a team that's came into the season. They came in very, very, hot. They played, I would say kind of more of a easier schedule, which I think that was by design for the NBA. But they're 17-13 right now. Being led by, Anthony Davis, who went out with injury in the first quarter. No surprise there. LeBron James led them the other day with 31 points. They got a new coach in JJ Redick. They have another new familiar faces on this team. And if you were to tell me, am I going to be impressed with them being 17-13 right now? I wouldn't say I'm being impressed. I think they're right where they need to be. Now I'm going to talk about how I feel like they should be probably as the season goes on. It's a little bit uncertain. I mean, and it comes down to a lot more so, coaching, and it comes down to just the age of LeBron and, how much is Anthony Davis going to be dominant game in and game out. That's what it's going to really come down to. The Lakers, for the most part, usually have a good time against the Warriors. They tend to usually beat them when it comes to the postseason. They tend to beat them in, matchups. A lot of this stuff comes down to just simply matchups. The Lakers have more size. They're more physical over the last couple of seasons. They're able to, play a better brand of basketball, especially in the postseason. When you go to the Warriors side, it's more of a finesse 3-point shooting game with them, where they don't really have a size, a big inside. They rely on a lot of outside shooting to, help cover their defaults. The Warriors start off the season very, very hot, winning their first 12 of 15 games, and they've lost their last 11 to 14 games as of late. So a lot of this just simply comes down to, the peaks and valleys of a season. People may look at the Warriors record and say, what's going on with them? Well, they are dealing with, again, it's an 82-game season. And also it's dealing with, they're facing teams that, can give them, some trouble. They face the Memphis Grizzlies, who are a team that's, giving them a run for their money. The Lakers are going to give them a run for their money. They got a team like Houston that gave them a run. Well, Houston, they can beat Houston. I'm tripping. But those two teams are going to give them a run for their money. The Clippers will give them a run for their money, what they got tonight. So they're just facing teams as, are going to be competitive. Now, as far as the Warriors and Lakers game went, I was not expecting the Lakers to somehow pull out that game with Anthony Davis out, because, like I said, the Lakers' one advantage over the Warriors is their inside interior play. So that would have helped the Warriors to get him out the game. They didn't have D'Angelo Russell. So you had more of the Lakers, a little bit. They were more so 3-point shooting happy, and they were looking to, score on the perimeter. They weren't as dominant inside without Anthony Davis there, so that gave them more of an advantage. But I'm gonna tell you something about the Warriors that I'm seeing, and I've been watching them a little bit. First off, I didn't like the move to get Dennis Schroeder on the team per se, other than to help get Steph Curry off the ball. I'm not so sure about how he fits as a offensive weapon for the Warriors, because he's not an outside 3-point shooter. He's more of a, transitional scorer, in the half court. I think a team like the Lakers, like a couple of seasons ago, he fit very well. but it's kind of going to be a process to see how he's going to be able to fit. Now, for the most part, people that come to Golden State usually tend to, pan out and, fit. They find a way to get them in their system. But Dennis Schroeder, if you look at his game, is not really a guy you don't really see Golden State Warrior on him. Like I said, the only benefit I see is that they get Steph Curry off the ball. So that, and I thought, like, again, players like, Buddy Hield, or not Buddy Hield, Brandon Podziemski, who had 24 minutes. I'm starting to think Brandon Podziemski is a player that needs to get, demoted. I'm not so sure what's going on with Moses Moody or Kyle Anderson. They're not playing those two players. I'm not so sure it's because Kyle Anderson doesn't fit in that, transition offense. Moses Moody, I think, should have been getting minutes the entire time. I mean, he's getting DNPs while this guy, Brandon Podziemski, is getting on the court, who's not really putting up much production. He's undersized. Well, actually, I'm going to say undersized. He's more like he's 6'5"? In which I got this. He's 6'4". Obviously, Steve Kerr really likes Brandon Podziemski. He's averaging 8 points per game, 40% from the field, 4.7 rebounds, 3.3 assists. I think they're losing him as a backup point guard. And I think Steve Kerr really, really likes Brandon Podziemski for his grittiness and toughness. But I just think there's a better option out there. I think Moses Moody is a better option than Brandon Podziemski. I don't think generally they really need a point guard to lead their second unit. I think they need more size and they need more length and more defense, which Brandon Podziemski is not a defensive player. So I think Moses Moody needs to get more time in that second unit. As y'all come to, make sure y'all smash that like button, y'all. We're talking about the Christmas Day games. But yeah, that, and also Andrew Wiggins and Jonathan Kuminga. I'm not so sure if they got Jonathan Kuminga coming off the bench and they got Chase Jackson-Davis starting, which I don't think is a bad idea because you do need a big guy to help Draymond in the post. But with those, I was seeing it in that third quarter, and I think some in the fourth, where Wiggins and Kuminga play together. I'm starting to try to see, okay, can these two actually play together? I think these are two-way players that should be able to kind of be very dominant against their opposition. I mean, I saw Austin Reeves drive past Andrew Wiggins and Jonathan Kuminga. I think Jonathan Kuminga's defense is overrated. I think he does not play very, very good on-ball defense. He's very, very, handsy, but he doesn't really play great on-ball defense because he's not defensively mature. Now, he's in his third season. But, for his size and his length and his athleticism, bro, he should not be getting blown by a guy like Austin Reeves. So I think one thing that can help the Warriors be even better is that Jonathan Kuminga and Andrew Wiggins are going to have to be able to take advantage of those two-way those opportunities when they're both playing together on the court. Jonathan Kuminga is averaging 15 points per game. Andrew Wiggins averaging 17 points per game, but they got to be better on the defensive end. I expect those two to get more time to get on the court. But I like what I saw, from Andrew Wiggins. I love Steph Curry towards the end. This is a team with Steph Curry. He's averaging 22 points per game, 44% from the field, 4.8 rebounds, 6.5 assists. It's kind of a down year for him scoring the basketball. As the season gets going, he's going to get more and more dominant. I'm not really too concerned about it, but once again, Steph Curry is going to have to be able to be utilized, I think, a little bit better. Right. So, yeah, that tells me about Golden State, what I saw the other night. I just think, again, struggling to score. I wouldn't even say struggling to score. I would say the timing of the scoring and, things of that nature. The Lakers, like I said, I don't know what's going to happen with them. They're going up and down. I don't know. I don't really know about JJ Redick's coaching. I do know how bad he wants to be great, but it's his first season, and you're playing up against teams that are as experienced as you as coach. So I think he can get out coached against a lot of certain teams. And how they've been running their team, I haven't been a big fan of, letting Bronny come in and, get a roster spot and play and all that stuff on the big squad without really even having to earn it. I thought they put like a disconnect on their team a little bit, how they're running it. You got the news with Rob Pelinka possibly getting, removed as a GM, which I'm not so sure where that come from. Maybe because, Laker fan bases, they scream trade every time the Lakers lose a game or when their role players play bad. Like it's a lot of pressure playing under the Lakers franchise, man. Sometimes not even what you deal with on the court is what you hear off the court and what you read and what you hear on social media. While these players, it impacts and affects them. Guys like D'Angelo Russell has to be worried about getting traded every other game. Guys like Austin Reeves, who dealt with that a little bit last year. Guys like Cam Reddish, who got benched. I'm saying, this season starting off because for whatever reason, while last year Cam Reddish played quite a bit because of his defense, and that's what he put out. He's showing himself to be very, very valuable on defensive end. For the defense, he was trying to, play on Steph Curry, even though Steph Curry's gonna still get what he wants. That's another 6'7", 6'8" wing that you can put on the court. So I hope JJ is starting to learn how much you need your long, athletic defender wings on the court. But the two guys who came out to, really show out was Austin Reeves with 26 points, 8 for 20 from the field. Came out to play, averaging 17 points per game, 43% from the field as well. That's the guy that came to play. And like I said, I don't understand how in the hell that Andrew Wiggins allowed this guy to just drive past him. Like I've seen players, I play against guys like Austin Reeves who you watch them come out, but you catch him walk on the court, you're like, this motherfucker can't play, man. He's slow. He can't jump. He ain't got no first. Like I'm about to kill this dude. And then when you really get in front of him, when you really have to deal with him, it's like, oh, I didn't know that, because you can see Austin Reeves. He's a guy who deals with angles very well. He's a guy that understands how to actually score. And you could tell Austin Reeves has dealt with that before. Like, you don't with certain people testing him and saying, oh, this guy ain't that good. I think he even said that one time. He said like, they looked at him as a slow white boy, but when they have to deal with him, then it's like a different story. So he's used to dealing with that talk. So I think he's kind of at home and comfortable when he's dealing with players like an Andrew Wiggins, who's so much physically superior to him. They don't really get fazed by that. He knows how to get his stuff off. So there's a reason why they kept Austin Reeves this period of time, and I feel like it's been really because of LeBron. I really think LeBron is the guy that is keeping this guy on the team, right? Because LeBron James, you need certain players to be able to play. You need to be high IQ. You better be able to catch and shoot, and you better be able to fall in line with his system. So I think LeBron is a big reason why Austin Reeves ain't going to go nowhere as long as he's there. Now LeBron, like I said, had a masterful performance the other night. 31 points, 10 assists, 4 rebounds, 50% from the three, 54% from the field. He's going to be efficient from the field at all times. Averaging 23 points per game, 7.9 rebounds, 9 assists, 49% from the field. I mean, again, this is just the same thing with, Jason Tatum a little bit to a degree. People don't like consistency. And as much as I get on LeBron James, as much as I, dislike some of his, antics, the man is a model of consistency. If there's a different dictionary definition of consistency year in and year out, 45 to 50% from the field, scoring at a certain rate, rebounding at a certain rate, assisting at a certain rate, as long as it's through his system, it's the man on the screen. Now, winning is that's a different argument, because that's the part that I don't like. People kind of ignore how, this guy somehow gets the benefit of the doubt, even though, the last 4 seasons they've been getting put out in the first round or getting swept in the conference finals against, Denver Nuggets, which was the team they lost to last year. So, but LeBron showed himself to be who he was against, the Warriors, and it was out Anthony Davis. So he gets credit for that. He didn't lean on AD being like the superior presence inside. So, like I said, it was probably the most, expensive game. I thought it was exciting towards the end. But like I said, I hope this is one of the final times we see LeBron and Steph Curry against each other because I'm tired of seeing that shit. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I am. All right, so let's get to the last game, the Nuggets and the Suns. I'm gonna let y'all go after this, man. Now this game was kind of like, whatever game. But there's some stuff I took out of this game, probably more than any other game that I saw. Out of the first 4 games I just talked about. So the Nuggets and the Suns was the final game of the night. The Nuggets end up losing 110-100 to the Phoenix Suns. The Nuggets fall to 16-12, and the Suns are 15-14 right now. So what we have right now is 2 teams that are, division, not conference, division rivals. There's a little bit of a rivalry there since 2021. They face off each other in the playoffs, and that was the beginning of the rivalry between these two. They just faced each other, a few nights before, where Denver Nuggets beat them convincingly. So these two teams don't like each other. They don't like each other. They're in the same, not just conference, but the same division. And, that's what it is. Now, as far as how both teams have been doing, how things have been going, the Nuggets right now are dealing with a lot of different things, for the most part, dealing with a lot of moves that were, made in the offseason. Throughout the last couple of seasons, they lost Bruce Brown after their championship, reign in 2023, which was their 6th man. They lost him. They lost Jeff Green as well, coming off the bench in off that year as well. They lost 2, very good bench players. So in doing that, you're going to have to, go through some peaks and valleys. So they go into last year. In 2024, they go into last year with a different core, and they lost 2 of their prominent bench guys after winning the championship instead of paying them. And you saw the results. They lose in the second round to the Minnesota Timberwolves in 7 games, right? They lost, Bruce Brown. They lose, Jeff Green. And then last year, they lost KCP, which there was their starting shooting guard, which was another, solid, role rotation piece. So going into this season, a lot of people were off on Denver. I thought Denver was going to still be a middle of the pack team, but I thought they were going to drop. But because of the, MVP of Nikola Jokic, of who he is, and, their camaraderie with Jamal Murray, with Aaron Gordon, and Michael Porter Jr., 4 guys who are still solid, I thought they were going to be still, a prevalent team. You have to always still give them the opportunity because off of that. But I do see the Nuggets. There's one big issue that I'm seeing, and it's not something where it even pertains to, any of the players I named. I mean, none of the role players. It's going to pertain to Jamal Murray, who right now is having a down season, averaging 18 points per game, 4.2 rebounds, 6.1 assists, 42% from the field. Now, it's easy for me to see that Jamal Murray is dealing with, in my personal opinion, he's dealing still with, the effects of his ACL tear he suffered a couple of seasons ago. You guys got to remember, Jamal Murray suffered an ACL tear when he played against the Golden State Warriors, and he was out for the from I think January on beyond. I think he missed part of the next year. I could be wrong, but that's what I think happened. So you're dealing with a guy who is still having to come back off that ACL tear, and he still actually, I think, even came back a little bit too soon. But Jamal Murray, he wears a sleeve on his left leg, which is, of course, precautionary. But I'm starting to really think that his ACL tear is somewhere. It's kind of like he's not the same player he was. Even though they won the championship after he tore his ACL, I think after that 2023 year, I'm starting to see that he's getting more of the effects by it. Now, I could be wrong, but that's why I'm starting to think, because he doesn't have his athleticism that you used to remember. Jamal Murray, before his ACL tear, especially, used to dunk over people. When was the last time Jamal Murray has dunked on somebody? Like, he used to play above the rim. Now you see him playing more like, methodical and slower and things of that nature. That's why I thought the move to get Russell Westbrook has been, very, very, successful, because it takes, pressure off of Jamal Murray to have to bring the ball up the floor. Russell Westbrook's been playing very, very well with Nikola Jokic I think they're 6-1 with Russell Westbrook starting. So I think they have to find a way to get these two to get more time on the court together, Westbrook and Jamal Murray, because, shout out to Old Man as well. He said that should have been the backcourt between those two. So if you have Westbrook, Murray, Porter, KCP, or Porter, Gordon, and Jokic, I think that's a good lineup. Because you see Westbrook right now, he's actually playing very, very smart basketball. He pushes the pace, and he takes a lot of the pressure off of Jamal Murray. So I think they need to find that should be their lineup. But I don't know why Malone keeps putting Westbrook back on the bench and keeps putting Christian Brown in there. I think Christian Brown needs to be coming off the bench. I think Christian Brown needs to take that Bruce Brown role and let Westbrook come in there and be who he is and be himself, because they already have a winning record with him starting. He's proven to play even better, even when Jamal Murray's not even there. So just let him rock out as the point guard. It can help the whole entire team. So I'm not so sure what that's about, but that's how I see Denver. They're still above. They're still a top 5 seed, but they're not even playing their best basketball. So interesting story with them. Phoenix. Now they were a team that started off the season very, very good. They were healthy. They were the best team in the Western Conference. But what happened was Kevin Durant, this guy, went out with an injury. He was out for a period of time. But, KD is another person, consistency, scoring the ball, 27%, 27 points per game, over 50% from the field, was an MVP candidate starting off the season. Still has, good, very, very good numbers. And KD, again, he can play till he's damn near 40 because of just, how he can score the ball and, his, how tall he is. He doesn't really have to exert a lot of energy. He can play off ball. But KD was the reason why they dropped down the standings. So right now the Suns are 14-14. I think they're the 10th seed in the Western Conference. So once again, I think they'll be able to get back to how they're supposed to get back to, but it's going to take some time. Or it's going to, take, everybody back on the court. Devin Booker's out with injury right now. We'll see when he's back. But everybody's got to be healthy. But as far as the Suns, how they're built, I think the one thing I like what they've done, they built and brought in more good defensive key guys like Josh Okogie. Royce O'Neal has been a big pickup for them, at least off the bench. And then Monte Morris is another good scrappy defender. So they got guys at that guard 2 and 3 spot that could be very, very, utilized, very vital as the season goes on. Bradley Beal was coming off the bench now as Devin Booker, because of his injury. I think that opens up the door for Bradley Beal to play his game. But as far as the Suns, how they're built as a team, they have a good team. They're built. They have, Yusuf Nurkic. They got Tyus Jones, who's their point guard. I think that's helped them out as the season has went on as well. They have pretty much a lot of stuff where they can really, be very interchangeable. This is probably a good team built around Kevin Durant, probably one of the better teams built around Kevin Durant. So they just got to get back to, being everybody on the court again. I like how Phoenix is, making their moves. I like how Budenholzer's having them play defense. So that's all it really is. As far as the game went, though, the fourth quarter is where everything kind of went, south for Denver. Aaron Gordon was out with injury, which kind of, I think, helped the Phoenix Suns in that second half. The non-Jokic minutes in the fourth quarter put Jamal Murray in the position to have to score the ball, which he only had 13 points. Like I said, I don't know what's going on with Jamal Murray. I think he's probably, trying to toughen some things out, but he's not playing how he needs to be playing. Because usually before Jamal Murray, when Jokic would be out, that would be his time to go in and play and, take over. But this season, he hasn't been doing that, right? It's been even more Westbrook being more the aggressor. He had even 12 shots to Jamal Murray's 10. That cannot happen. So you got guys like Westbrook and guys like, Julian Strawther, who I like as well, as I've seen throughout the season. Peyton Watson, as I see throughout the season, they've been more aggressive than Jamal Murray. So the Nuggets aren't going to be able to reach their full potential until Jamal Murray comes out of wherever he's in right now. But I think a good thing that the Nuggets should do, they need to put Westbrook in that starting lineup, so that way Jamal Murray can be more as a 2. Because something else I think might be going on too is that I'm not so sure if Mike Malone being kind of who he is has put pressure on Jamal Murray to, have to compete for that starting point guard position. Because Westbrook is now, playing at the level he's playing at. But I don't think that's the answer. I think Jamal Murray he's earned the right to be a consistent player in your rotation. And I think they need to find ways to help Murray and Jokic to be successful, not try to make this a competitive between Westbrook and Murray and this, that, and the other. I think they can both work together as a team. But yeah, like I thought the Nuggets kind of just lost themselves in that fourth quarter. I thought Bradley Beal came alive in that fourth quarter. Like I said, the thing about the Suns that they've been doing, though, is they've been bringing Bradley Beal off that bench and letting Devin Booker and Kevin Durant play together now. It's kind of been a little bit of an issue according to the metrics. I ain't really been watching too much of Phoenix this year, outside of the, before Kevin Durant got hurt. But the word is that Devin Booker has been kind of struggling this season, even though he's averaging, I think, 25 points per game. They say that he's been struggling a little bit this year. So I'm not so sure what that really means. But obviously now with no Devin Booker playing, you get Bradley Beal to get more shots and opportunities to score the ball. So now really you don't really lose much offensively because people forget Bradley Beal led the league in scoring back in 2021. So the man can put the ball in the basket just like Devin Booker can. So now he's getting more opportunity. So as far as offensively scoring at the 2 position, the Suns don't really miss a beat. But they're going to have to all learn how to play together. Right? So Suns, like I said, is a pretty good built team. I thought in the fourth quarter, Bradley Beal was the difference maker. And that's why I think, what the situation is right now, going with the Phoenix Suns. So I know it was a lot that we talked about, y'all, man, but I wanted to, put everything in perspective, man. I hope that y'all really enjoyed it, man. I hope everybody's enjoyed their Christmas. I'm going to get up out of here. I got to get ready for this game here in a little bit. Got to prepare for that. Y'all watch out for your boy. Until next time, pull up, chat, pull out, pace, out of here, like